With Army Armstrong, and we're not far from the Motor City of Detroit. Actually, we're in Toledo, Ohio. Behind us, you see the cars. They're going to be crunched because the monsters are on the loose, and they're going to be on the loose at an unusual track. It's U-shaped.
The Motown Monsters have a tremendous challenge this evening, Richard. The U-shaped track is exactly what the name implies. One vehicle will start away from the spectators, the other one close to the spectators. They will make an approach and a turn. The question is, which turn are you going to make, a left turn or a right turn? That's why qualifying is so important this evening. Most drivers want to make that left turn or turn in the direction that they set on the vehicle so they can see. That'll present a unique problem.
So there's going to be a good lane and a bad lane, but one thing we never have is bad competition. The top dogs are all here. USA 1, Bigfoot, and we can't forget CASPER.
CASPER's up from Mississippi. Dale Harris is due for a win. Everybody's keeping an eye on him. There's a couple other fellows that I'm looking out for tonight, the BREEN boys. They come sneaking out of the state of Missouri with two awfully strong Chevrolet trucks. The Mad Dog Chevrolet of John Breen. Bob Breen comes out spearing with a new chassis, a stock Chevrolet engine, but located at the back of the driver. We're going to be watching him, Richard.
And we're going to be watching first-round competition in just a moment from Toledo, Ohio.
TNT! If it's power you're looking for, here it comes. ESPN and TNT Motorsports present Turning the Power On. 60 minutes of America's hottest new motorsports, truck and tractor pulling, and wild monster truck racing, featuring your favorite TNT stars and the monster trucks that fly in the sky. Plus outrageous crazy car bloopers, all for only $19.95. Call the Power Hotline 1-800-544-1000 and bring the power home. It's pure TNT.
2-1 the count.
Hi, honey, I'm home.
Welcome back to Toledo, Ohio. An absolutely beautiful day for monster trucks. I'm Richard Leake. I'll be topside throughout the competition. Army Armstrong down on the track. You see the heartbeat of America Chevrolet flags in the background. Chevrolet, one of the fine sponsors of the Renegades TNT Monster Truck Challenge. And in the background, USA 1 is the last to qualify as we are about ready to run down the pairings for the first round. Bigfoot 4 with Rich Hoosier taking on Wild Hare and Bob Breen. Then King Krunch, Scott Stevens against Stomper 2 and Marvin Smith. Then we've got the Carolina Crusher, which is Gary Porter driven against Leadfoot and Ron Dennis. Then we'll have Mad Dog, the other Breen brother, John Breen, going up against John Moore's No Problem. And USA 1 with Rob Litzow will be taking on Dale Harris's Casper machine. And what about Pablo Huffaker?
Earlier this afternoon, Huffaker did take a qualifying shot. Something really tore up on the vehicle. The suspension went away on him. The crowd here was sitting patiently as he came into the staging lanes, Richard, ready for this shot. You know, Huffaker out of the Lone Star State has developed tremendous following for this Ford truck. He took the shot. The front end looked good. He nosed down real tight, went to the second jump. The front end had a tendency to break right there as Huffaker completely tore the front suspension away from the truck, unable to get in the competition. So one of the top national point chasers will be not getting points this evening.
All right, you can see there on a video replay of what happened to Pablo Huffaker. Broken suspension there. You saw that right front tire just angle out. So disappointment for him, but we still have 10 of the best monster trucks in the world getting ready for first round competition. A good crowd on hand is coming to the line first today will be Rich Hoosier, your national points leader. Rich out of St. Louis, Missouri, and he's taking on one of the Breen brothers. That is Bob Breen from Jefferson City, Missouri, and Wild Hare.
Bob Breen out of Missouri. Now, this is basically a mismatch, Richard. What it is, the Breen brothers have teamed up. Mad Dog John Breen, he's got a good combination. Bob Breen, his brother, comes in with the Wild Hare truck. They're experimenting. This is a research and development vehicle. The research comes on in where you put the engine. The engine in the Chevrolet we're going to be seeing is basically a stock engine located behind the driver. As Hoosier goes into the lanes with the awesome national points leading Bigfoot, his engine's located in the front. So the Ford, I believe, will definitely have an advantage on this shot.
All right, they are off from the line. It's Wild Hare taking on Rich Hoosier and Bigfoot. Army is trackside call-up from your vantage point.
Hoosier, a good shot. Cranks to the inside, goes over the cars. Breen's having some problem. Hoosier's not having any problems at all. Very, very smooth run. This will advance Bigfoot into the next round. Meanwhile, the Wild Hare vehicle, we told you, they're experimenting with it. They're going to figure it out. They'll get the handle on it. They'll be back another day.
All right, so Rich Hoosier, your national points leader, takes the win easily. He moves on into further competition here in Toledo, Ohio, as we get ready for our next round of first round activity. It'll be Scott Stevens out of the Badlands area of Woodlands, Texas. going up against Starvin, Marvin Smith, and Stomper 2. That ought to be a heck of a battle coming to the line.
It's going to be a real good battle. I'm noticing something that's taking place. Stevens had a quick qualifying time, quicker than Stomper. He gets lane choice. You notice Stevens goes to the back part of the track, the same lane that Bigfoot came out of a moment ago. We said earlier, we believe it's going to be to their advantage to be making a left turn, and so far that's what it's looking like. Stevens out of Texas goes up with the Coors King Krunch truck, probably one of the most powerful trucks on the circuit, and also, Richard, one of the lightest trucks.
Isn't it an advantage for the drivers to be so far apart and just meet for the first jumps?
The driver said that they're not really aware of it. What they're concentrating on is making a turn. You notice how the Stomper 2 goes around, but already the Coors King Krunch is lined up, goes over for the first jump. The Texan looks like he's going to advance. Meanwhile, Stomper's not giving up. He's trying to come back, but I believe the Lone Star State will go to the next round, Richard.
Well, the Chevrolet Stomper machine doesn't quite have enough today. Scott Stevens in King Krunch, the winner. He will advance in the competition. As a matter of fact, he will face the winner of the Carolina Crusher Leadfoot machine. We're going to go trackside in just a moment with Army as he's got the winner, Scott Stevens.
Scott Stevens all the way up the Lone Star State. Wild qualifying shot in the first round, had a good quick qualifying time. You drew Stomper in the first round. You're advancing past that on basically a new type track. We're running the U-shaped track. How you feeling about the truck this evening?
Oh, well, we're, every week, Army, we've been kind of progressing. Then for a few weeks, we went backwards. And last 2 weeks, we've been going really good ahead. Tonight, we were trying something we never did. We're weighting the truck. We were weighted way wrong. Yeah, I've got enough motor to switch to the front end, and we're going to take some weight out right now.
You going to take the weight out, or you going to move the weight in the truck?
Well, we're going to try right now with the very back of the truck with 400 on the torque side. So we're going to start going forward a little bit through each round. And hopefully by the end of the night, we'll have it figured out and we'll be right for tomorrow night.
Well, Scott Stevens up from Texas, he had a new idea. That's to build a lighter truck. It worked. Now he's got to figure out some way to add the weight. Not only ways to add it, but where are you going to put the weight? Thank you, Scott. Good luck.
So Scott Stevens definitely a thinking man's racer as he moves on in competition. And he is going to face next the winner of this matchup. It's going to be either Ron Dennis in Leadfoot or the Carolina Crusher machine of Gary Porter.
I tell you what, Richard, Porter and Dennis are two up-and-comers in the sport. Run out of their own pocketbook. They're what we call independents, but they run awfully strong. One out of Carolina. That'll be the backstretch, a yellow truck. The other one all the way from Arizona. A good start by both vehicles. They run up. And again, it looks like the backstretch turn is the quicker way around the track. However, the Arizona truck looks to be coming back. Carolina Crusher trying to hold him off. What does it look like from your angle, Richard?
It looks like a heck of a race, but it's going to be a win for Carolina Crusher. As a matter of fact, a double win. He not only beats him on the course, but Ron Dennis was disqualified for running off the course. So Gary Porter advances. Leadfoot goes home. Let's go to Army.
Okay, Gary, congratulations on a first round win. We're running on a new type track this evening, the double U's. How are you liking it?
Well, I really don't like it. I'm really not used to this type of track, but I think I'll get the hang of it.
Now, the quick time is going to have lane choice. Do you have a preference when you drive this truck as to whether or not you want to turn to the left or the right?
Yes, I'd rather turn to the left.
So lane choice is important, not only the actual track conditions, but which way you're going to have to work it.
Back with more Monster Toledo action on ESPN in a moment. Action fast and furious on this track, Renegades TNT Monster Truck Challenge. Kids of all ages coming out to enjoy it, from the youngest to the oldest, as they enjoy monster truck racing across America. And coming to the line next in first round competition, one of the Breen brothers, John Breen, and his Mad Dog machine taking on John Moore out of Lafayette, Tennessee with no problem. John Moore, Army, one of the guys on the circuit that pays his own way.
Yeah, he's one of the strong independents. He'll be working off the spectator side, making a right turn, but a good hole shot by the Chevrolet Mad Dog out of Missouri. John Breen jumps into the corner and gets himself a little out of shape. Meanwhile, Moore, the independent, kind of coming on slow and straight. I believe Breen may be in a whole lot of trouble. The Ford's pulling back on him, Richard.
He's got more than problems. He's got a disqualification. John Breen disqualified because he went off course. Rules say you've got to have both tires coming across the Krunch cars. Breen on the second set of Krunch did not do that. He has been disqualified. So your winner, John Moore, out of Tennessee, the Volunteer State. John, one of the up-and-coming stars on the Renegades TNT circuit. Earlier today, he spent some time with Army Armstrong discussing what it was like to be an independent and racing across America.
You know, in every facet of motorsport, there's an independent element in that sport. Got your big buck sponsors, but a lot of times the backbone of the sport are what we call the independents. You hear it referred to quite frequently on the NASCAR circuit. The independents are looking good today, or what have you. This sport is no different. The independent monster truck driver, there's a place for them in the sport. John Moore, based out of the state of Tennessee, his wife Heidi and his daughter Jill, they follow the national circuit on the Renegade Tour. He's an independent. John, what possessed you to get involved in this sport?
Well, we really wanted to go out and show crowds that we could build a safe and runnable deal, and getting in a monster truck thing, it looked like it was something that I thought I would really enjoy doing.
Okay, the driving style has to be affected by the finances involved in the sport. The big buck fellas, they'll go out, they beat and bang, they thrash, they tear stuff up. Sometimes they make it to the final, sometimes they don't. You keep chugging along, you know. Without the big buck sponsor, you drive differently than those that are sponsored.
Well, I hate to say it, but we've got to look to next week, and that's where we're surviving at. So being an owner, and I drive it myself, we just take it just a little easier than a big buck operation does, because the equipment has got to make it the next week, and hope that we don't break it too bad.
Well, despite being an independent, I can say from right here, John Moore gives it his all each and every week. And we are ready for our final round of first round competition, final round action, that is Rod Litzow, USA 1, taking on the little CASPER machine, Dale Harris, one of the favorites on the circuit, but then Rod Litzow really coming on strong in the national point standings.
I'll tell you what, Rod Litzow carrying that USA 1, red, white, and blue, got to be a Chevrolet color combination to the max. He came out of nowhere and immediately went after Bigfoot, your national points leader. But right now, the True Value Hardware Chevrolet USA 1 comes around a little bit late getting in the corner. Harris may have cut the course. We don't know. From my viewpoint, I cannot tell, Richard.
All right, well, he's definitely off course now, no matter what happened earlier, and your winner is going to be Rod Litzow. Winner USA 1 will move on. Dale Harris and CASPER going off course. Don't know if it was mechanical problems right now. I'm sure it must be something going wrong with the CASPER machine. We'll try to find out a little bit later on for you. Meanwhile, Rod Litzow moves on. Here he is with Army.
Rod Litzow takes the True Value Mechanic USA 1 Chevrolet to a first-round win. Rod, everybody seems to be having a little bit of problems going into the second jump of cars. What seems to be causing that problem?
It's a little slippery in between the tracks. It's a little wet back there, and it's asphalt, so when you mix a little mud with the water, it makes them slippery coming out.
Well, we started off with 10 monster trucks in competition. USA 1 Chevrolet, the heartbeat of America. He advances to the next round.
Well, Rod Litzow on the USA 1 machine, fast becoming the monster truck to beat on this national circuit. We are ready now for quarter-final round competition. First competitors to the line ought to be a dandy. Stomper 2 against Bigfoot. Rich Hoosier going up against Starvin' Marvin Smith. Smith getting here because he was fast loser. First round competition. Army, we'll let you call the takeoff from trackside there.
Hoosier, lane choice, picks a back stretch. He's going to be trying to dive into that corner. He'll be making a left-hand turn. Meanwhile, Marvin Smith comes out with the awesome Stomper 2 Chevrolet. Cranks right. Hoosier with the Ford, the first to go into the infield portion of the track. It looks like he might be advancing. From my viewpoint, I can't tell. We're coming back to you, Richard.
Easily advancing. Bigfoot, the Ford, out duels the Chevrolet this time. Rich Hoosier, your national points leader, moves on. Meanwhile, Starvin' Marvin Smith is going to head home. There you see one of the fan favorites across America, Bigfoot and Rich Hoosier, getting ready to step down to step up with Army Armstrong.
The current national point leader does what he has to do. He advances to the next round of elimination. Looks like a strong run out there tonight, Rich.
Yeah, the thing we've been racing lately, these straight courses, when we come back to these turns, it takes a little bit to get back into it. But everybody's running strong. It's going to be a good finish.
Well, you brought out an interesting point about the course. Now, chasing the Renegade points, you fellas are competing on straight courses. You're competing on figure-8 courses. This is the first time that I know you've been on the U course. Which course do you actually like better as a driver?
Well, I'll tell you what, the one with the turns really sees how good a truck handles in both situations, fast over the cars and making turns. You get a lot more speed out of them straight courses, but here shows you a little bit more what the trucks can do.
Think you can put the back in the winner's circle and stay on top of the national points chase this evening?
Well, I'm going to give it everything I got, Army.
Rich Hoosier doing what he does so well, driving Bigfoot to the #1 spot.
More quarterfinal round competition on ESPN in just a moment. Back in Toledo, Ohio, already today, we have seen some super competition on the Renegades TNT Monster Truck circuit. And coming to the line, this one ought to be one heck of a battle. You got King Krunch, Scott Stevens out of the Badlands area of Woodlands, Texas, going up against the North Carolinian out of Wadesboro, Gary Porter and Carolina Crusher. And these two guys are very intense. Both of them fired up for what should be just a super showdown.
Both Chevrolets. Porter drives that left lane. He's going to be making a right turn, not exactly where he wanted to be. We talked to Stevens earlier. He was talking about moving the weight around in the Coors King Krunch truck. A lot of horsepower, lightweight. They're actually adding weight back in. They're off and running, Richard. What does it look like from your top side?
Well, everything that we said it would be, a tight battle, and it is. Coming around there first, so is King Krunch with the inside groove. He's got the advantage going to the second set of cars. But here comes Carolina Crusher. Gary Porter putting on a late charge at the line. I have no idea who won. As a matter of fact, they collided. They collided at the finish line. King Krunch and Carolina Crusher. Army, I'm going to let you call the instant replay.
Stevens had the initial jumping over the first set of cars. Then he seemed to lose horsepower. We told you about being one of the most powerful trucks on the circuit. He nailed the throttle, came back in the second jump, crossed up. Meanwhile, Crusher was coming after him. I don't know who won this thing, Richard.
Well, we're going to have to wait till we get the official word from the track officials. The crowd anticipating the decision also. Let's go trackside with Army and both drivers.
One out of the Tar Heel State, one out of Texas. These fellas just put on a super show. Gary, you and Scott, excuse me real quick, you and Scott Stevens just put on a super shot out there. What exactly happened right at that finish line?
Well, he got crossed up, and that's about all I knew. I looked up, and he was right there on me, and there was nothing I could do.
What happened over there, Scott?
I just drove, and when I mashed the gas, the truck kind of spun out on me. And even when I hit the brakes, it didn't do no good. I just slid right into him. The track on the other lane's pretty slick, and I kind of crawled up on the car as easy, and I knew Gary was fixing to drive by me. So when I mashed the gas pretty hard, it just spun me around kind of on top of the cars, and I hated it if I went right in his lane.
I'm going to ask you a question. The announcer doesn't know. Who won that race? Do you know?
I don't know. It was close.
All right, two strong competitors, both of them driving these awesome Chevrolets in Toledo, Ohio. We'll be back with a winner a little bit later in competition.
Well, Army, we can announce the winner. It came from trackside. It is Scott Stevens and King Krunch moving on in competition. Meanwhile, coming up next will be this machine, USA 1 and Rod Litzow. Earlier today, we spent some time with the owner of the USA 1 machine, Everett Jasmer, and here's some of that interview with Army.
Everett Jasmer is the owner of the beautiful USA 1 Chevrolet that runs on a Renegade Monster Truck Tour. A lot of innovations are taking place in this fast-moving motorsport. Engine location, chassis, the horsepower, looks, a very important part of it, and this has to be one of the most appealing vehicles on the tour. Everett, why did you go to so much time and trouble on the appearance of this vehicle?
Well, when you spend this much money on a vehicle, you want it to look well personally, but most of all, it has to look well for the fans and for the sponsors. So you want a vehicle that looks its very best at all times.
Who actually designed the graphic layout on the side of the beautiful red, white, and blue color combination with the star and the USA 1 name?
Well, it's something that we changed over a period of time. We had a lot of designs, passed by us, and we wanted to go with something real sharp and modern looking. We come up with a modern USA 1 logo with the traditional flag in the background. We based it on a beautiful blue pearl paint by Glazerite Company, and we figured it's the best thing we could do as far as looks.
So for the fan who buys a ticket on a Renegade Tour, if you like the Chevrolet, you're going to love the USA 1. He's not only a looker, he's a runner.
I'll tell you what kind of runner he is. Currently second in the national point standings, not far out of first and Bigfoot. And here comes Rod Litzow, USA 1. He's taking on the Tennessee Pride. No problem. And John Moore, this is something unusual. Rod has decided to take what we thought was a bad lane.
Yeah, he'll be working off the left lane, means he's going to turn right, goes around. Moore looking awfully good. He makes a good attack run. They go into the infield side by side, but at this time, the Chevrolet nails the horsepower to the ground and starts to pull out a big lead, Richard.
John Moore is letting off. He's going to lose it. Meanwhile, Rod Litzow gets a win, but he slows down dramatically going over their second set of jump cars. Any idea there, Army?
Have no idea. A little bit of smoke came out. We'll check with him.
All right, so we'll talk to the winning driver, Rod Litzow, in just a minute in the USA 1 machine. He advances to the semifinal round. Meanwhile, John Moore out of Lafayette, Tennessee, says, congratulations, Rod. I'll see you another time, another day on the Renegades TNT circuit. Right now, let's go trackside as Army Armstrong is standing by with the USA 1 driver.
Real quick, the driver of USA 1 comes out. We It looked like you kind of backpedaled there right at the end.
Well, I blew a drive shaft. I blew a drive shaft. I had to baby it through there.
You going to be able to make it back for the next round?
Yeah, always.
All right, we are ready. We are set. Let's go to it. The semifinal round competition. It's King Krunch, Badlands area, Texas. Scott Stevens taking on the one, the only Ford monster truck of Bigfoot and Rich Hoosier.
Chevrolet, Ford. Crowd about evenly split. Chevrolet gets a good jump out. Let's see who's going to get into the infield grass first. It'll be Bigfoot. Makes a turn. Stevens actually hits a little bit of the track. The tire marker. Bigfoot makes some good bounces, Richard. It looks like the Ford takes another win.
Boy, he not only takes another win, he blows away Scott Stevens and King Krunch. Matter of fact, Scott is just now coming across the end of the course going, what happened? Well, what happened was your national points leader just blew him away. There you see Rich Hoosier. The crowd loves him for a couple of reasons. Number one, he's got a great machine, the Ford Bigfoot. But number two, Rich, one of the really personable guys on the circuit, good-looking kid himself, too, out of St. Louis. This sets up our second semifinal matchup, Army, and it's going to be a dandy. Rod Litzow, USA 1, and Carolina Crusher.
Well, we know we're going to have a Ford in the final. It'll be carrying the blue colors of the Bigfoot team. Which Chevrolet is going to go after him? Litzow, a good shot again, picking a lane that we think would not have been the good lane. Sets the chassis up so light on the right side, Richard. Both right side tires come up. They've got a good race going. I can't tell from my viewpoint. Back top side to you.
It is going to be the Chevrolet USA 1 of Rod Litzow winning over Gary Porter and Carolina Crusher. The championship is set. It's going to be Ford Chevy in a moment.
Meet the two toughest cops in town.
Now, Bigfoot, your current national point leader, he's been on top of this points chase since day one. Litzow comes out with the USA 1 Chevrolet a couple of weeks late getting on the tour, but he is flat closing in on the Ford. A True Value Chevrolet, he'll be making a right turn. Ford will be making a left turn. They're taking their shot. They're off and running for the final. Richard, we're coming back up top side to you.
Bigfoot hits a turn first and hits the first set of Crunch cars. He goes by. It looks like it's going to be an easy win for Bigfoot and Rich Hoosier. He has nailed the championship one more time here in Toledo, Ohio, with a big win over Rod Litzow's USA 1 Chevrolet. The cream rises to the top, and it has again today. Let's go to Army with your champion.
Well, Rich Hoosier doing what he's done so many times this year, driving Bob Chandler's awesome Ford. Rich, congratulations on a super win.
Thanks, Army. It was tough out there this evening. Run against these guys. Everybody's just getting so much better every time we run. So it's getting tough.
Well, we were talking earlier, qualifying and everything, lane choice is so important. All night long, you came out where you were making left turns. Was that to your advantage?
To me it is, because I can see how close I can get to our boundary lines, which makes me be able to take a turn as tight as I can. Being on the opposite side, you almost have to guess unless you're real used to your truck and know how far you can go.
Bigfoot has reigned supreme again, this time in Toledo, Ohio. As the fans bid us farewell tonight, we'll bid you farewell. For Army Armstrong, I'm Richard Leake. We'll see you on the tracks across some...
Brace yourself for the most turbulent, power-packed motorsport in the world. Never before in any program could you witness such devastating propulsion, massive convulsive force as on Challenge of Power. Multi-engine drag rails, high-torque four-wheel drive, air-launching monster trucks, and incredible two-wheel drive. As Hart Production presents the World Championship Pulling Series and Monster Truck Challenge Series. Witness the reverberating excitement behind the scenes as drivers and machines jump into action. Brace yourself as this week's caravan of trucks and tractors assault your senses on Challenge of Power.
Welcome to the Budweiser Grand Nationals from the New York State Fair in rainy Syracuse, New York. Well, last night here we had about an inch of rain on the racetrack here in front of the main grandstand of the New York State Fair. I'm standing in slop and mud right now, but the tracks, surprisingly, are beginning to dry out a little bit. We've had a late start here in Syracuse because of the rainy, muddy conditions, but that rain has actually helped the tracks here today. The two-wheel drive truck will be featured. I hope you enjoy the action from the Budweiser Grand Nationals at the New York State Fair in Syracuse, New York.
It's going to take plenty of